Okay, this is actually going to be a really fast video. It's just going to be a quick thing that I'm going to be starting, which I'm going to call like the A to Z rework or something like that, or small changes. Currently it's just going to be I go to every single champion in order, starting with AATROX from A to Z and all, and I'm going to name like what they do, not fully, and then what I would rather them do or what I would like to have them do, or just a tiny little change. Honestly, I could change like literally nothing potentially, but it's gonna be similar to just like the why I hate with Wasp Boom Socks, or the so you want to main, but from Bricky Orchid 8. But I'm not gonna have it fully like that. Like I'm not actually gonna go into game. I'm just gonna kind of like go over their abilities. First blood well, Aatrox fills up his blood well through his abilities. When filled, Aatrox becomes a hellbent for as long as he stays in combat with champions or monsters, granting him attack damage, attack speed, and the ability to survive fatal damage. Huh, I didn't know about the fatal damage thing. But, oh, well, that's just his regen. This is actually something I really like about him, just because originally it was just that he would just revive and nothing else, but now he actually has some sort of attack. The only problem I have is that he just has an insane amount of lifesteal, just like passively. Like Gnosis, higher than Gnosis levels of attacks, lifesteal passively. But I think that's just like in general from his abilities. I'm going to go over them all first. Dark Flight, Aatrox takes flight and slams down at the target location, dealing damage and knocking up enemies at the center of the impact. I find this ability really annoying just because of like how tiny the cast time is. Just and slammed. Like he jumps up and slams immediately. The only real way to dodge it is by like flashing. Like even a dash might not be fast enough potentially. This I don't really find anything. Bloodthirst, Blood Price. While toggled on Aatrox deals bonus damage and fills a portion of his blood well every third subsequent attack. While toggled off, Aatrox restores health every third subsequent attack. Like this is what I find kind of stupid, like with how much lifesteal he has. Because I've gone up against like full tank Aatroxes that don't build any damage at all, but yet they get all their health back just because of their lifesteal. Blades of Torment. Aatrox unleashes the power of his blades, dealing damage to enemies hit and slowing them. This ability I don't really find anything special about it. It's really just like, there you go. I don't really see how that comes from his blades when it's coming from his wings. Like it even does a little spark in his wings. But, yeah. And then Massacre. Aatrox draws in the blood of his foes, damaging all nearby enemies, champions around him, and gaining increased attack speed and bonus attack range for a short duration. I find nothing wrong with this, to be truthful, but I would mix his kit up a bit. Like, this ability, I would probably give it like a slightly longer cast time, I guess, but then he really wouldn't have that reliable of a gap closer, so maybe something more like Kha'Zix's jump, because Kha'Zix's jump is actually like reasonably slow but also pretty fast. That doesn't make all that much sense, but it sort of does. So I'd probably do it something like that. His Bloodwell I would keep basically the same way it is, like even when going into combat with attack speed and attack damage. I don't really know how to put what I want to say though, but like, actually, yeah, I would keep that the same. I like the like how fast it fills, and it really depends. But I'm not sure if it has a cooldown. I think it's just like how fast he fills it, so he could just like constantly be filling it. And I would rather it have more of like a cooldown, but not a long one. If it doesn't have one, though, I'm honestly not 100% sure. If it does have a cooldown, then yeah, I wouldn't then keep this ability the exact same. This one I already said, I feel as if just like the cast or something should be a little bit slower. That way he doesn't immediately knock you up, or at least like turn it into a slow instead of a knock up, but like keeping it the exact same speed. Or you can have like a combination of his E and his Q, where if he hits you with his E, then you get hit by his W, that'll knock you up. But if you dodge his E and then get hit by his Q will just slow. And with his W, I would make the toggle on what gives him health, and then the toggle off. When the toggle's off, like every 5th auto attack against minions puts a little blood into his blood well, not much, but just a little. And every 3rd auto attack against a champion puts a little bit of blood into the blood well. And this will work well if this doesn't have if this does not have a cooldown, and we do give him a cooldown, and then we make this, that'll fill that up a lot faster. So if it actually has a cooldown, then it won't really matter as much. But when his W is toggled on is when I think he should just have a little bit more lifesteal at every 3rd auto attack against anything at all. And I feel like that would just be a bit more balanced, just because it would force him to toggle it on. And while it's toggled on, he'll lose a tiny amount of health per second type deal, just 2, something stupid, so that he can get 3 auto attacks before it actually really matters. And then his E said I'd keep it the same unless you do the thing with his Q, or then if you get hit by his E first and then get hit by his Q, that knocks up. I would be fine with doing that as well. I'd prefer that, to be truthful. Is all I already said. I like it. It makes him pretty difficult to deal with, though. When he actually just jumps into your team and activates that, especially when he's full tank. But that also would help with his W if we changed it so that while it's active, he needs to get lifesteal. Now, he'd still stay, pretty similar to the pain that he was before, but it would be harder to proc the knock-up with, doing his E in that manner, and it'd be harder for him to, sustain with his W if it's on the active and not the passive. Maybe lower the attack speed, too, on his ult a little bit, just because what it is right now, it's a bit much. Yeah, I would lower that, especially if you proc this at the same time, that also gives attack speed. So I think that's just it's giving him too much attack speed just from his base abilities. And then imagine if you have a Lulu or someone else giving him even more attack speed. That would be, it's just very difficult to deal with, especially with his health, with his regen. Well, his lifesteal, I mean, not really regen. I'm fine with the attack range, but maybe lower the attack speed, just so he doesn't just go on a rampage. And then I am going to touch up on the skins. I like his skins for the most part. This one's probably actually my favorite. It's probably everyone else's least favorite, though. I like the hand bit on one, or well, this one sort of does actually. He has it in the wrong hand. But where his right hand is always some sort of gauntlet, and I would love to see something like a Marauder skin on him. I feel as if it would fit pretty well. Same with also a demon skin. And then I know that his lore touches up a little bit on how he is a darkin, or I think, yeah. That took over a man. Same with Kane, how Rost is one. So his old lore was that he actually used to be a savior. Basically, he would just go where war was and then kill everything and stop the war. But his new lore is more how his weapon is alive and how it took him over. He went from one host to another, suitable host, as I just read here, and then turned into what he is now. Which, yeah, he was just consumed by the blade, and now the blade never basically won. But I like that, but I wish they like went off with it a little bit more. Like I like the darkins in general, but I wish that they went like a little bit more further with it. But as I was saying before, for him, for like with the abilities I just explained, with this, it's gonna be his lore will basically be the same way. I just wish he advanced into darkins just a little bit more, and then I already said all the things with stability. I know I'm just repeating myself, but I am a bit newer with this. So yeah, and then I would like to see a Marauder, and then maybe like a Shadow Hunter, like Kane's skin, just to maybe like a Darkin branch in itself, actually, or a Blood Moon. Well, I know Blood Moon already has his colors, but still, but like maybe make like a Darkin skin that him and Kane will get right away, and then they'll create someone else that has some sort of blade, like Diana. Give her like a crescent, make her crescent blade into like a Darkin, and then make. I like when they do comics about it, and that would be like another thing that they could make comics with. I feel as if that would be pretty cool for him. The only one, yeah, I feel as if that would just be a good idea for him. Making a brand new Darkin skin, I guarantee you plenty of people would want to get that. But yeah, that would be, as I said, it's just going to be a smaller type video. A to Z. Here's AATROX, the Darkin Blade, and yeah, those are the changes I would make.